April 29th, 1863. Dear Diary, today I learned that the man I trusted with America's finances has been systematically destroying us from within. And the proof came from the most unexpected source, my own son Tad, who had been collecting something he thought was treasure. It started this morning in the Capitol prison, where Mary, Rose, Elizabeth, and I had spent the night planning our counteroffensive. A young guard approached nervously, holding a sealed envelope. Mr. President, this just arrived by special courier. The man said it was urgent and could only be delivered to you personally. I opened the envelope and found a single photograph inside, but what I saw made my blood run cold. The photograph showed Secretary Chase sitting at a table with three men I didn't recognize. But in the background, clearly visible on the wall behind them, was a portrait of Jefferson Davis. This meeting was taking place in Confederate territory. Below the photograph was a handwritten note. Check your son's toy box. The gold coins he's been collecting aren't toys. A friend who knows the truth. Mary gasped when she saw the photo. Abraham, Tad has been showing me his treasure coins for weeks. He said a nice man at the Treasury Department has been giving them to him as presents. The same sick pattern repeating itself. First, Willie had been unknowingly used by Hamilton. Now Tad was being manipulated by Chase. Our children, turned into unwitting tools of conspiracy. We need to examine those coins immediately, Rose said, her experienced spy's instinct recognizing the implications. If they're what I think they are, Chase has been even more brazen than we imagined. Lady Ashford arranged for Tad's toy box to be brought to the prison under guard. When it arrived and we opened it, we found exactly what Rose had suspected, dozens of gold coins, but not American gold. These were French and British gold pieces, each one representing significant value. Why would Chase give a child foreign gold? I asked, though I was beginning to understand the horrible answer. Elizabeth Van Loo examined the coins carefully. Because he's been using Tad as an unwitting courier. Look at the dates on these coins. They're all recently minted. Someone in Europe has been sending gold to Chase through diplomatic channels, and he's been distributing it in the most innocent way possible, as gifts to the president's son. But why? What's the purpose? Mary's face had gone pale with understanding. To hide the money trail. If Chase is receiving large amounts of foreign gold, it needs to be documented, explained. But if it's just a few coins given to a child as presents, who would question it? And meanwhile, Chase probably has hundreds more coins hidden elsewhere. But then Rose found something else in Tad's toy box that revealed the conspiracy went even deeper. Hidden beneath the gold coins was a small leather notebook, the kind a child might use for sketches or games. But when Rose opened it, we saw it contained something much more sinister. Detailed drawings of the White House's security arrangements, guard rotations, and secret passages. Tad didn't draw these, Mary said immediately. This is a professional intelligence document disguised as a child's notebook. The implications were staggering. Chase had been using my son's toy box not just to hide gold, but to store intelligence documents in the one place no one would think to search thoroughly, a child's collection of innocent treasures. Think about it for a moment. Who would suspect the president's young son of carrying enemy intelligence? What would you do if you discovered someone was using your child this way? We need to confront Chase, I said, feeling rage building inside me. Now? Today? No, Rose said firmly. If you confront him directly, he'll activate escape plans, and we'll lose the chance to discover his full network. We need to trap him, make him reveal everything. Lady Ashford nodded. We need to make him think he's won, that you're vulnerable, isolated, ready to be removed from power. Over the next hour, we devised a plan that would require me to do something I'd never done before. Use my own apparent weakness as a weapon. That afternoon, I returned to the White House for an emergency cabinet meeting. Chase, Seward, Stanton, and the others were all assembled in the cabinet room, their faces showing various degrees of concern and calculation. Gentlemen, I began, deliberately allowing my exhaustion to show. I need to be honest with you. The pressures of this office, the recent discoveries about spies and conspiracies. I'm beginning to question whether I'm the right man to lead us through this crisis. Chase's reaction was immediate and revealing. He leaned forward with barely concealed excitement. Mr. President, Chase said with false concern, surely you're not considering resignation? The nation needs your leadership. But I'd been watching his eyes, and I'd seen the flash of triumph there. This was what he'd been waiting for, a sign that I was breaking, that I was ready to give up. I'm not sure what I'm considering, Salmon, but I need counsel from all of you. How do we move forward when we can't trust our own intelligence, when spies have penetrated every level of government? Stanton, who was in on our plan, played his role perfectly. Mr. President, perhaps we should consider a temporary transfer of certain executive powers, just until the crisis passes. To whom? I asked, knowing exactly where Chase would push this. Well, Chase said carefully, the Constitution does provide mechanisms for temporary delegation of authority. As Secretary of Treasury, I've been managing the financial aspects of the war effort quite effectively. Perhaps an expansion of that role. There it was. Chase wasn't just working with the consortium. He was positioning himself to take over the presidency through constitutional manipulation. An interesting suggestion, Salmon. But I'd need to see a detailed proposal. How would such an arrangement work? I could have documents prepared by this evening, Chase said, his eagerness barely masked. In fact, I've been working on contingency plans for just such a scenario. Of course he had. He'd probably been planning this for months, waiting for the right moment to present his coup as a constitutional solution to a crisis. But that's when Secretary Seward said something that made me realize Chase wasn't working alone. I think Secretary Chase's suggestion has merit, Seward said slowly. In fact, I've been consulting with certain congressional leaders about similar arrangements. There's precedent for emergency delegations of power during wartime. My heart sank. Seward, too. One of my oldest political allies was part of the conspiracy? Like if you saw this betrayal coming. Had you suspected Seward all along? Or did this shock you as much as it shocked me in that moment? Mary, who was listening from behind a hidden panel, another feature of the White House we'd discovered, signaled to me through a prearranged code. She'd heard enough to confirm our worst suspicions. This wasn't just Chase acting alone. This was a coordinated effort involving multiple cabinet members. Very well, I said, playing my part. Draft the documents, Salmon. We'll review them tonight. But I want Stanton to review them as well, for military implications. I saw the flash of annoyance cross Chase's face. He wanted to control the document preparation completely, but he couldn't refuse without arousing suspicion. That evening, in my private study, Chase arrived with a leather portfolio containing his constitutional proposal. Stanton was already there, along with, to Chase's visible surprise, Mary, Rose Greenough, and Edward Hamilton. What is this? Chase demanded, his hand moving instinctively toward his coat pocket. Don't, Hamilton said quietly, a pistol already drawn and aimed at Chase. I'm a very good shot, Secretary Chase. And unlike you, I'm not pretending to be something I'm not anymore. Chase's face went through a remarkable transformation, from surprise to calculation to resigned understanding. He slowly removed his hand from his pocket and placed both hands on the table. How long have you known? He asked calmly. Long enough, I replied. Long enough to document your financial connections to the banking consortium. Long enough to intercept your communications with agents in Europe. Long enough to trace the gold you've been funneling through my son's toy box. At the mention of Tad, Chase actually had the grace to look uncomfortable. The boy was never in danger. I was just using him as a secure storage location. You used my son, I said, my voice dangerously quiet. Just like Hamilton used Willie. Just like all of you have used the people we love as weapons and tools. It's business, Lincoln. Nothing personal. But then Mary spoke, and what she revealed made Chase's confident facade crumble. Tell him about Anna Carroll, Salmon, Mary said coldly. Tell him about the woman you had murdered. Chase's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Mary continued. Anna was my friend, and she was getting too close to exposing your financial schemes. So you ordered her killed and made it look like an accident. But you got sloppy, Salmon. You used consortium agents who were already on our watch list. She placed a thick file on the table. This contains testimonies from 2 of the men you hired. They've given us everything. The payment arrangements, your instructions, even the details of how Anna was supposed to die. Chase slumped in his chair, the fight going out of him. You can't prove any of this in court. I'm protected by congressional allies, by financial backers who won't let me be prosecuted. Who said anything about court? I asked. Salmon, you fundamentally misunderstand your situation. You're not going to trial. You're not going to prison. You're going to do something much more valuable. What? You're going to continue being Secretary of Treasury. You're going to maintain all your usual contacts with the consortium. But from now on, everything you do, every document you produce, every communication you send, it all goes through us first." Chase laughed bitterly. "You want me to be a double agent? To betray the consortium?" "No," Stanton said. "We want you to be a triple agent who knows he's being watched every second of every day. You'll feed the consortium exactly what we want them to know, and in return, we won't hang you for treason." "And if I refuse?" Rose Greenow smiled coldly. "Then we release everything to the newspapers. Your financial corruption, your manipulation of Treasury funds, your connections to foreign powers, and most damning of all, your use of the president's young son as an unwitting accomplice. How do you think the American people would react to that?" But that's when Chase revealed something that changed our entire understanding of the conspiracy. "You think you've won," Chase said quietly. "You think you've uncovered the conspiracy and now you can control it. But you have no idea how deep this goes." "Explain," I demanded. Chase leaned forward. "The banking consortium you're so focused on? They're just the financial arm. There's a larger organization behind them, one that's been manipulating American politics since before the revolution." "You're lying," Mary said, trying to deflect attention. "Am I? Then explain why representatives of this organization met with both George Washington and King George III during the Revolutionary War. Explain why they financed both sides of the War of 1812. Explain why they've been documented in every major American conflict for the past 80 years. "What organization?" I asked, though part of me didn't want to know the answer. "They call themselves different names in different eras. Sometimes they're a banking group, sometimes a trading company, sometimes a philosophical society. But their goal has always been the same: keep America divided, keep it from becoming strong enough to challenge European power." Chase pulled out a small medallion from under his shirt, a gold disc with strange symbols I didn't recognize. "Every member carries one of these. And we're everywhere, Lincoln. Your government, Confederate government, state legislatures, military commands, even some of your most trusted advisors." Hamilton moved forward to examine the medallion. His face went pale. "I've seen this symbol before. In Richmond, in certain exclusive clubs that Davis frequents." "Now you're beginning to understand," Chase said. "This war isn't about slavery or states' rights or constitutional interpretation. It's about keeping America weak and divided so that European interests can continue to dominate global commerce and politics." "And you're part of this?" I asked, struggling to comprehend the scope of what he was describing. "I'm a relatively minor player," Chase admitted. "Useful because of my position, but not one of the architects. The real leaders of the organization are in Europe: bankers, aristocrats, industrialists who view America as a threat to their centuries-old systems of power." "Would you trust Chase's claims? Is he telling the truth, or is this another layer of manipulation? Comment below what you think." Mary looked at me, and I could see the same question in her eyes that I was feeling. Was this real, or was Chase simply trying to overwhelm us with conspiracy theories so vast that we'd question everything? "Prove it," Stanton demanded. "Give us names, locations, evidence." Chase smiled grimly and pointed to a specific book on my study shelf, one I'd owned for years. "That book, third shelf from the top, red leather binding. The one you've probably never actually read because it's so boring. Principles of International Finance, by someone named Anderson. Open it to page 147. I retrieved the book, genuinely confused. It had been a gift years ago, and Chase was right. I'd never read it. Too dry, too technical for my interests. Page 147 appeared to be about currency exchange rates. But when I looked more carefully, I noticed certain words were underlined in pencil, so faintly I'd never noticed before. Reading only the underlined words created a hidden message. "Council meets third Thursday every month. Baltimore Warehouse District. Password is prosperity through division." "How long has this been in my library?" I asked, my voice hollow. "Since before you became president," Chase said. "The organization places books in the homes of potential political leaders. Whoever has access to your library can receive coded messages without ever directly communicating with you. It's how they've maintained secrecy for so long." Mary immediately began examining other books on the shelves. Within minutes, she'd found 3 more with similar hidden messages, all detailing meeting times, locations, and passwords for this mysterious council. "Abraham," she said quietly, "if this is true, They've been watching you, preparing to manipulate you, since before you even ran for president. What do they want? I asked Chase. What's their end game? To make sure America never becomes powerful enough to challenge European economic dominance. They want perpetual conflict, regional divisions, economic dependence on European markets. The ideal outcome for them would be several smaller American nations, all fighting each other, all dependent on European loans and trade agreements. They want to reverse the revolution, Hamilton said, understanding dawning. Not by military conquest, but by economic and political manipulation. Exactly, Chase confirmed. And they've been patient. Generations patient. The Civil War is just their latest opportunity. If they can keep it going long enough, if they can ensure that whoever wins is economically devastated and politically fractured, they succeed. But that's when Rose Greenough revealed something that tied everything together in a way none of us expected. I know about this organization, Rose said quietly. I didn't know their full scope until now, but I know them. They recruited me when I was young, through my husband's business connections. They presented themselves as a society of enlightened individuals working for global stability. And you joined them? I asked. For a time. But then I realized what they really wanted. They didn't care about the Confederacy or slavery or states' rights. They just wanted chaos, division, anything that would keep America weak. Subscribe to discover the shocking truth about what Rose found. What Rose discovered about this organization's true nature would expose a conspiracy reaching back to America's founding. But that revelation would have to wait. Rose pulled out a document from her coat. This is a membership list I stole years ago, before they realized I'd turned against them. It's not complete, but it names over 100 members in positions of power throughout America and Europe. She spread the document on the table. The names were staggering: senators, congressmen, generals on both sides, governors, judges, industrialists, bankers. The organization had infiltrated every level of American society. I saw names I recognized, people I'd considered allies. I saw names of Confederate leaders I'd considered honorable enemies. I saw the names of Europeans I'd thought were neutral observers. This can't all be accurate, Stanton said. Some of these people are known patriots. That's how they work, Rose explained. They recruit patriots and convince them that the organization's goals align with patriotic interests. Most members never know the full agenda. They think they're part of an enlightened society working for economic prosperity and global stability. Prosperity through division. I quoted from the hidden message. That's their real motto. Chase watched us process this information with something like satisfaction. Now you understand your real situation. You can arrest me, expose me, try me for treason. But for every member you remove, there are 3 more you don't know about. The organization will continue, adapting and evolving. Or, I asked, knowing there had to be an alternative. Or you use me as you planned, but with a different goal. Don't try to destroy the organization. That's impossible. Instead, work to redirect it. Use their own networks against them. Feed them information that serves American interests while they think they're manipulating us. Mary looked at me, and I could see the question in her eyes. Could we trust anything Chase was saying? Was this just another layer of manipulation? Or had we actually discovered something real? We need time to verify this information, I said finally. Chase, you're going to be under constant guard. Not to arrest you, but to protect you from consortium agents who might want to silence you now that we've had this conversation. And in the meantime? Chase asked. In the meantime, we investigate every name on Rose's list. We examine every book in this library for hidden messages. We trace every financial transaction you've made for the past decade. And if we find that you've told us the truth, then yes, we'll consider using you as a controlled asset. But as Chase stood to leave under guard, he said something that made me realize this conspiracy was even more personal than I'd imagined. One more thing, Lincoln. You should know, your father's death wasn't an accident either. I froze. What did you mean by that? Your father, Thomas Lincoln. The organization identified you as a potential political leader when you were still a young lawyer. They arranged certain encouragements for your career and certain removals of obstacles that might have held you back. You're saying they killed my father to advance my political career? To position me for eventual manipulation? I'm saying they've been planning your presidency for 20 years. Every seeming coincidence, every lucky break, every obstacle that mysteriously resolved itself, The organization's hand was in all of it. They didn't create your talents, Lincoln, but they certainly cleared the path for those talents to bring you to this office. The room spun around me. My father's death, my political rise, even my presidency itself, all potentially orchestrated by a shadowy organization working toward goals I couldn't fully comprehend. Mary took my hand. Abraham, don't let him manipulate you. This could all be lies designed to make you question everything. But Chase's expression suggested he was telling the truth. Or at least, what he believed was the truth. April 30th, 1863, late night. Dear Diary, tonight I sit in my study, surrounded by books that might contain hidden messages, financial documents that might reveal conspiracy connections, and the weight of revelations that challenge everything I thought I understood about my own life. Did a secret organization kill my father? Manipulate my political career? Engineer circumstances that brought me to the presidency specifically so they could control me during this critical moment in American history? Or is this just what Chase wants me to believe? Another layer of psychological manipulation designed to make me doubt myself, my decisions, my very understanding of reality? Mary says I need to focus on what I can prove, what I can verify, what I can actually act upon. She's right, of course. Whether or not the organization Chase described really exists in the form he claims, the immediate threat is real enough. There are traitors in my government. There are financial manipulators profiting from war. There are foreign interests working to keep America divided. Those facts are undeniable, regardless of how far back the conspiracy extends. But here's what Chase and his organization, if it exists, didn't count on. They thought they could manipulate me through guilt, through grief, through psychological pressure. They thought they could use my family as weapons against me. What they didn't understand is that every attempt to use my humanity against me has only made me more determined to fight for what's right. Willie's death didn't break me. It forged me into something harder and more focused. Mary's secret war didn't divide us. It showed me the strength of our partnership. Even the revelation that my rise might have been manipulated doesn't weaken my resolve. It clarifies what I need to accomplish. If there really is a centuries-old conspiracy working to keep America divided and weak, then my task is clear. I must do everything in my power to unite this nation, to make it strong, to prove that democracy can work even when enemies foreign and domestic try to destroy it. The candle burns low, but tomorrow I begin a new phase of this war. Not just against the Confederacy, not just against the banking consortium, but against every force that seeks to prevent America from fulfilling its promise of liberty and justice for all. Chase will be our unwitting weapon. Hamilton will continue his dangerous work. Mary will expand her intelligence network. Rose will use her knowledge of both Confederate and organization operations. Stanton will coordinate military and political responses. And I will do what I was elected to do: lead this nation through its darkest hour and into a future where freedom actually means something for everyone, regardless of what shadowy organizations might prefer. The war continues. But now I understand what we're really fighting for, not just to preserve the Union, but to prove that self-government can survive even the most sophisticated attempts to destroy it. But the meeting Chase mentioned, the Third Thursday Council in Baltimore, was only 3 days away. And what we discovered when we infiltrated that meeting would reveal the conspiracy's next move: a plan to assassinate both me and Jefferson Davis simultaneously, plunging both nations into chaos.